So let's continue with data privacy and vulnerabilities in GenAI for test processes and tools. So this is tutorial 322 of module 3.2. Let's understand what all details you need to understand for the vulnerabilities, data privacy and vulnerabilities in the test process in generative AI for test processes and tools. So data exfiltration. What data exfiltration is all about? It's that attackers send requests designed to extract confidential training data from large language model, exceeding the LLM contextual window with long prompts to overload the AI's memory could lead it to reveal random snippets of its training data and potentially expose sensitive information. So data exfiltration is the technique which the hackers use for any LLM model to send the request which exceed the context window. And we have already understood about the context window in the initial videos. What exactly the context window is? The memory or the AI, the GenAI, whatever it can actually remember in very simple terms. So that's the context window. So for example, I can only remember the past 2000 words or 200,000 words of the chat, and based on that I'll provide the answers, or the GenAI will provide the answer. So that's the context window. So exceeding this context window purposely by the attacker to get the sensitive information, what was the training data being used to train the model. This is how they can get the sensitive information, and that's what the data exfiltration is all about. Now, what is the impact on testing? Risk of data leakage during test case generation, exposure of confidential system behavior or personal information. Testers, as a tester, should keep prompts concise and monitor for suspiciously long inputs. So if you get very long inputs or there are long inputs in the logs, you need to be sure of any of the attacks that might have happened in the large language model. Okay, now the next thing is request manipulation. That's another threat. So introducing malicious or misleading data to disrupt AI's output. When the request is manipulated so that the AI output is not proper, is disrupted, that's request manipulation. Request manipulation can include images or crafted inputs that lure AI to different contexts. So luring the AI to different contexts, changing the context using images. What impact it might have on the testing? Incorrect or irrelevant test cases. If the LLM model has been manipulated or there is a request manipulation, you might get irrelevant test cases, incorrect test cases, reduced confidence in that GenAI output, in that model's output, because it has been already under threat and malicious information has been used to hamper the productivity or hamper the quality of that model. Now, as a tester, you should validate the outputs against requirements and use structured prompts to reduce any of the ambiguity that might have happened due to the request manipulation. Then we have the data poisoning. Now, manipulating training data to corrupt AI behavior. So when the model is being trained, the training data might be manipulated. Hackers might manipulate that training data and corrupt the AI behavior overall. The model will then be trained on that corrupt data. So eventually the model will be a corrupt model or not what you are expecting. It won't, because the training data itself is corrupt, the AI behavior will be also bad. Now, what data poisoning is? In data poisoning, attackers inject fake or misleading evaluations during the fine-tuning of the model. When the model training is happening, attackers will inject fake or misleading evaluations, and model will then learn on that fake evaluation of misleading information, which eventually makes model unusable, or model is not usable, or it's not providing the correct information. So for example, providing false rating for the AI generated test reports, due to which AI learns incorrect prioritization. That is a possibility. When the training of the model is happening, incorrect information of the test case prioritization is provided, and the model has learned based on that incorrect prioritization. So if you're using the same model, you will get incorrect prioritization for your test cases. For example, prioritizing cosmetic UI test over payment test. When in the model you say no, cosmetic UI test cases are more important as compared to the payment test, and your model has learned that you are using the same model in your organization to do the prioritization of the test cases, obviously the model will provide you the wrong information, because model is being trained that way that it thinks the wrong information as the correct information. Okay, now as an impact on the testing, long-term degradation of output quality will happen. Biased or incorrect test cases will be provided to you. Biased information, biased output will be provided to you due to data poisoning. As a testing team, as a tester, you should always use trusted data sets, apply data validation, and involve domain experts in evaluation. So when you are using any of the GenAI model or large language model, making sure that you actually review the results, review the output, and also have the subject matter expert to evaluate the output before actually using that. Now, the next thing is malicious code generation. What happens in this? Manipulating the large language model to generate harmful code through backdoors. That is the backdoors. What happens in the malicious code generation? It exploits the AI ability to produce functional scripts. For example, AI generates code that opens a communication channel with a malicious IP. That is also possible. So you have the AI model, or you have the generative AI solution. The AI model can be manipulated to generate the harmful code. And one of the example is that opening the communication channel with the malicious IP. So if you have the model available in-house or on-premise, and it is integrated well with other systems, and somebody prompted or tries to do a malicious code generation and get the information, it might open that communication channel with the malicious IP. Okay. Impact on testing. You might have the compromised test environment because, say for example, within the test environment, your GenAI or the AI capability is being used, and the test environment might get connected with the malicious IP, or the port might get open if you have that capability in the AI to open the port. Then unauthorized system access or malware spread. That's another possibility. How you can safeguard yourself and the project? Restricting unsafe commands. That unsafe commands can't be actually executed. Applying static code analysis and run generated code into the isolated environment. So say for example, in the LLM, you are getting the code, not straight away copying that and straight away executing it, because the LLM might generate a harmful code, which if you directly copy it and paste it and execute, it might be a big disaster for your test environment, for your existing other systems in the organization. So whatever output, whatever code generation that is happening with the generative AI solution, you are actually reviewing it and then executing it, and not allowing the generated code automatically getting executed. For example, you might have automation in place that whatever code has been generated, automatically go ahead and execute. Don't do that. That's not advisable. Reviewing is important, and then when you are happy, making sure that you actually have the static code analysis and avoid running any of the unsafe commands that you are not sure from the LLM. Okay, that's another risk. So that's all about this tutorial. In the next one, I'll cover another important topic of the ISTQB Generative AI Testing Certification. Thank you. See you in the next one.